Facebook.
Hi, Facebook.
Hello. We will be with you in about 36 seconds, so to speak. Actually, we're here. We're not going anywhere.
It's so confusing.
It's Friday. I just can't figure it out. All right, so that goes to there. And now in 20 seconds, I can stop thinking this chair is gotten a little closer.
Hey, there's a yoga studio over by the yoga place.
It's been there forever. I've taught there.
Oh, it was new to me.
Well,
Here we go. 5 seconds.
you don't do yoga.
I would like
Looking
to.
good. It's
Yoga
Friday
and yoga.
morning. It's 5 minutes past 10 o'clock. We're at
Yoga's
68
hard.
degrees right now at the K-Rim Studios at 215 West Frontier in Payson.
It's a good
And it's Friday, and you know what that means? It's time for your hometown movie guys. Tina, Craig, and Andy with us in the studio this morning. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Tina
just peachy.
and Andy.
I'm fine, and if I may, I would just like to send my
This is
greetings
gonna go
out
on and on
to
and
people
on.
out there in Radio Land.
Radioland.
We should do that in
hello.
harmony now. But anyway, we'll work on that for next time. Yeah, we were talking because that's kind of what we do here. We were talking before the show today, Craig, about it sounds like things in your version of Movie Land are getting a little bit closer to normal.
We're seeing some positive signs,
Yeah.
or at least no negative signs, so that's been good.
Well, that's a
Yeah.
great thing.
And the cliche du jour, it's the new normal.
Whatever normal is.
New normal. So,
Yeah, normal concept.
new normal.
But one of the challenges that y'all had was there was a lot of releases of movies that were delayed, canceled, and a variety of other things. But that seems to be beginning to wane a bit.
Well, as we're moving into November, getting closer to the holidays, we should be seeing more first run content.
Right.
Here for the next few weeks anyway, we'll be kind of doing a mix of new stuff and classic stuff.
Very cool. And so, looking forward a little bit, when it comes to the holidays, usually that's a time where you get some huge blockbuster movies coming out. Is that going to be the case this year?
Well, right now, the Croods looks like it'll be the big one for the holiday.
The
for
Croods?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
an animated.
Movie about a lot of my relatives, apparently. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was this is the second one. It was pretty cool for the first one.
Right.
About cavemen, kind of an animated
Oh.
caveman family. Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Exactly.
So, and that should be coming out when?
Thanksgiving.
Okay. So,
Thanksgiving. Just saw today that we got a Ron Howard film coming out. Hillbilly Elegy.
oh, right.
That's an early front runner for Best Picture. Just got news today on that one. That'll be
What do we
coming out
know?
for
What do we know
Thanksgiving.
about this movie? It's a front runner for
Yeah,
Academy Award.
it's Amy.
Who's
Amy
ready?
Adams.
Amy Adams. Amy Adams.
Amy Adams.
The
Anything with-
gloriously radiant
Yes.
Amy Adams.
Who
Okay.
she's-
first
she's-
came to?
So Andy's got the hots on
yeah.
Amy
Oh
Adams.
man.
You know what,
I even do
she's-
too. I
Oh,
love her.
wow.
I love her.
She's looking a little rough in this one.
What?
Well, she plays a
Let me
mom
guess, a
struggling
hillbilly?
with looks issues.
Too much booze, too much ice cream. Those
Exactly.
Kind of
Yeah,
things.
she looks like a real train wreck. I
Right.
guess is on that one. So,
But a
but
nice
yeah,
movie.
a struggling mom, trying to be
Shame
good.
I'm sorry.
I heard that.
It just seemed like something that should be said at that point. But anyway,
Where do we know Amy Adams from?
Enchanted. One of
Right.
my favorite movies of all time.
Really?
Yes, I know all the words to all the songs, and
Yeah.
I would dance around my house singing them.
And who
Yes.
was her male lead in that?
Oh,
See, Tina never pays attention.
Wait,
to the guy.
Mr. McDreamy.
Yes, that's him.
Dr. McDreamy, Patrick, what's his face? Yeah, you remember.
Oh yeah, what's his face?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. McDreamy.
From what?
Yeah.
From what show?
Oh,
Dempsey.
yes, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick Dempsey.
Okay. All right.
My encyclopedia nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, at any
I
rate,
don't know why I knew that.
so but there's some big names in this this hillbillyology. Right?
Yeah. Like you said, it's a front runner for Best Picture already. So, and again, that's this is all good news that the studios are kind of starting to stick with some of these things. Wonder Woman's still looking like it's going to be good for Christmas Day.
Cool.
So that'll be that's a huge one. So, so far so good. Looking like things are picking up a bit.
When does this Hillbillyology come out?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
24th or 25th.
So about a month away on that.
Yeah.
All right, now do we have new movies this week?
Oh yeah.
Oh, so what are the new movies at the Sawmill Theater?
Well, you know what? War with Grandpa.
War with Grandpa.
War with Grandpa. It's Robert De Niro. It's
Hey, if you're going to have War with Grandpa, you should have Robert De Niro in there. I guess.
well, he moves in with his kids, who have his grandson there too, and he moves into the kid's room with him, for space-wise things,
Oh
and
wow.
then they kind of have a little bit of a tiff, yeah. Kind of got a Home Alone
They have
vibe.
issues.
Right.
Yeah, issues. Kind of a Home Alone vibe.
Right.
Little pranks and it looks a little silly, but it's a PG, good family movie, I think.
So De Niro's not playing like a retired CIA guy this time around, is it?
No.
That was all a different
We'll
movie.
get
Or
there.
no ninja.
Yeah.
And then a couple of older ones, but we got Ghostbusters.
Ah, cool.
Oh,
The first
man,
one.
who are you gonna call?
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
We're kind of the Halloween thing. We got it covered this year. Next week, next Friday, The Exorcist.
Oh,
The original Exorcist.
Yeah.
man, I'm going to that. Linda Blair and Jisoo.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what? And the thing about that one too, of course, everyone remembers that as a horror film, but this is one of the highest rated films of all time. Kids, I mean, this thing is up there with Citizen Kane and
Yeah.
and Godfather.
Was that John Carpenter?
No.
No.
Well, I mean, but what other movie had people vomiting pea green soup? I mean,
But it was done very well too.
Actually,
It was a compelling vomit.
Yeah, there you
You
go.
can't just go all willy nilly with
Yeah.
vomit. You gotta
Well, I mean,
have to be well directed.
I've seen some pretty dark. I've seen some dark, twisted things in my
Did they
travels,
do like
and
a
I'd say
version of CPR on
they've done a
that, or
really
what?
good job of
Yeah.
of
Yeah. that was-
bringing the creepiness out of
Yeah.
something that I believe
And
really
her
does
head
exist.
spins. Don't
Yeah.
forget that. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is one of the truly creepy, scary, hair on the back of your neck, chilling, frightening
Yeah.
movies dealing with the netherworlds.
Possession.
Yeah,
Yes.
you
Demonic possession.
don't want to mess around with
No.
demons. Demons are no good.
Nope, it's a real problem.
Yeah.
Well, now next week also, we're going to the flip side of that
Hmm.
with Beetlejuice.
Oh wow,
Oh,
that is pretty much a
excellent.
whiplash.
Yeah.
The lighthearted demonic
Yes,
possession.
yeah.
They did a really good job with Beetlejuice. And every time I've seen that come up on TV and stuff, I've always got to stop and watch that again. I just
Oh,
thought they
yeah.
did a great job. Got a good cast.
Yeah.
And they took some kind of hairy sort of topics and made it fun.
So we definitely got you covered for Halloween.
Great,
Yay.
cool. Now what else is playing today?
Well, let's see. We got War with Grandpa.
Right,
We got Ghostbusters.
right.
We got Hotel Transylvania.
Hotel Transylvania.
Yes.
This is the original.
Yeah, the first one. Yes.
They made two.
Adam Sandler 3.
Really?
Hotel Transylvania is a big deal.
Wow. Where
This
about
is
that?
Adam Sandler, animated
Right.
kids one. So
Right.
good stuff there. And then we're still holding Infidel.
Mm.
See, we still got Nightmare Before Christmas,
Oh.
and then Kajillionaire.
How has Infidel done in as far as just overall box office draw, that type of thing?
Well, I mean, nothing's really, lighting things up here. It's been a top 10 though.
Right.
Despite my exhortations for everyone to see it, not enough people have seen it, so I shall exhort again. Please go see Infidel, it's wonderful. Is that
Yeah.
you? Yes.
Andy's pants are ringing again. I hate it when that
I
happens.
silence my phone, okay? I'm, phone etiquette.
Hi,
No, go,
Tim, you're on the air, you stinker.
And that was all she wrote.
go see Infidel though, it's just, you need to see it.
I would like to.
No, not like to, you just need to see it.
Must go.
Do not, there is no try.
I think
Yes.
we're probably on the last week for that one too.
Yeah,
Okay,
you gotta go.
So,
It'll
got,
be gone next Thursday, so we got
Mm.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Thursday to see it.
Yeah.
I might, because last weekend there was really no weekend in my world, I need to set aside some time to just do something fun and relaxing, and I think maybe driving back up to Payson and going to the movie sounds like a good idea.
Watch The Exorcist. It'll be fun and relaxing.
I think I'll check out Infidel. I've seen The Exorcist, and I've seen variations on that theme
And the
firsthand.
Infidel is a little horrible, so,
Yeah.
it'll fit right in with
Good,
horror.
good, good. I like
Yeah, it's good.
horrible.
But Jim Caviezel, oh man,
Yeah.
He's a giant amongst actors.
Boy, he certainly made a name for himself with The Passion of Christ.
Yes, and also on Netflix, he is in Person of Interest. One of my favorite series of all time. My husband and I watched the whole thing through twice.
Wow.
That good. Yeah.
Some
really good.
husbands will do anything to keep you from talking.
Oh, he wanted to watch it. That is true.
Terrible.
Your women folk don't listen to this show, do they?
No, we don't allow them. And if you believe any of that, I have some
You
small
know what,
thing
the
tonight
chastity
for
belt
you.
for the ears or
Yeah,
what?
right, exactly. Well, now, so,
But getting back to War with Grandpa.
Okay, War
I
with
think we skipped by that too quickly.
Right.
Because it's got a great cast.
Mhm.
So sometimes we have to focus on parts of the movie experience that are pleasant and joyful. And in this movie.
but enough about the concession stand.
Yeah, that's a good point. But in this one, we do have, Grandpa has a couple of buddies
Okay.
that help him, they're like his strategic advisors in the war with this little kid. And it's Christopher Walken and Cheech Martin.
Oh, wow, now that would,
Cheech Martin,
Of
dude.
Cheech and Chong, yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, and both of the, Christopher Walken and Cheech Martin are both
Yeah.
accomplished comedians.
and Christopher Walken though, what kind of part has he not played? I mean, he's been
Yeah.
in so many different
You
films.
don't think of him as a comedian, but honest to God, she is hysterical.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful movie that nobody's ever heard except me, I think. It's called The Maiden Heist. And Christopher Walken is in that, and he is just like Guffaw City. He's-
I've loved him on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yeah.
I need more cowbell.
Yes,
That's part of the culture now.
yes, yes.
Cowbell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More, that's saying more cowbell.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
then you think of him in The Deer Hunter, for Pete's sake,
Oh,
way
goodness,
back
yeah.
in the day. Yeah. Oh, no, he's really good. He's really good.
So, would you?
But that's not all.
But
Yes.
wait, there's more.
Yes. Guess who the romantic interest is for Grandpa?
Oh, let's see. De Niro would go after. I give up.
Jane Seymour.
Ooh, good choice.
Medicine Woman.
Lady
That's right.
Jane.
Yes.
And she was in a
Yes.
mini series a million years ago that the name of which escapes me now. But I've always thought she was a
Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Was that a mini series also?
That
Well,
was.
it was a series.
It was
Went
a
on
se-
for
yeah,
years.
yeah.
And that has a local Payson connection. So we have Jane Seymour.
Right.
Jane Seymour goes one click, and we have the, hey, not just me. We have Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Right.
And the third iteration, third click is Stan the Train Man Garner,
Right.
who arranged the train for Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, and appeared in many episodes as the train engineer.
Oh wow. Who
Yeah,
knew?
yeah.
And we have.
What do you-
I see what we have going on here. We have my. Now we're listening to Facebook Live on my phone. We gotta rein in some control here, will you?
Well, that's 3 out of 4 of us have
Yeah, well,
created
I'm-
phone faux pas.
I know how to silence my phone.
Yeah,
I don't know how to silence you
yeah.
yet, but I know how to
I
silence
did
my
actually,
phone.
I did silence my phone, put it on airplane mode, and it didn't work for some reason, I don't know.
They'll jump off sometimes because
And
they
my
want-
buddy Tim loves to call
Oh.
during the show just to listen to my phone ring.
Hi, Tim.
Way to go, Tim.
All right. Well, so now as far as this.
So we should go see it.
What was it? War with Grandpa. What was the name of it again?
War with Grandpa.
Oh, good. I
A
remembered something.
PG rated film.
Oh, so fun for the whole family. You can go in there and make fun of how difficult living with Grandpa might be.
Or how difficult living with a 10-year-old might be.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Amen.
10-year-olds have a lot more energy than grandpas, I've noticed.
Boy, I've definitely noticed that. I have a 10-year-old grandson, and I can attest to that. But we have a lot of fun anyway. But it sounds like, I mean, that would be a great situation comedy.
Also, Uma Thurman.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Haven't seen her in anything lately, have we?
Tremendous cast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. And again, is this on tap to get any kind of Academy Award focus? Or is this just strictly one of those fun movies that we? Oh, shut up! I'm just trying to be nice. Okay, so apparently not.
Well, maybe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Give it a
What an answer. I like it. All right, so enough of taking things so seriously.
Yeah, but Robert De Niro though has picked up a couple of Oscars.
Really?
Yeah, he got one
Of his
for-
own or someone else's?
No, he has 8 nominations.
Really?
Yeah, I mean he's really. I mean, I haven't seen this movie yet, so I can't speak to it. But he has a long career, and he's done a lot of wonderful stuff. Raging Bull and
Oh, yeah.
Godfather
Yeah.
Part 2.
Godfather Part 2, that's my favorite movie of his. He just, I mean, I
Say
love that
hello
movie
to my
anyway.
little friend.
No,
Oh,
that's Al Pacino.
That's Pacino,
Yeah,
that's right.
right. But no,
Why do you
Godfather
the same
2.
people? Really?
Yeah, well, yeah.
What did he play?
Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, they're the same people.
Yeah, same guy.
It's the same. It's just one of them. Yeah.
Oh, man, one's Vito and one's Michael, come on.
That's been, I mean, that goes back a few years.
70s.
Yeah, like,
70s.
wow.
De Niro was Vito.
Yes, De Niro played the young Vito
And
in Godfather 2. That was, remember, it was like the,
hold it, you just make me
Throwback.
realize that the
Yeah.
Godfather movies
Oh.
were like, they started 50 years ago.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I'm depressed.
Yeah, Coppola, I mean, that's, if people keep asking me my top 10, we're gonna have that article done on us, and I'm like, oh, how can I pick?
Right?
Godfather 2 is one of them.
Huh.
Godfather 1 is one of them. I mean, Marlon Brando.
Yeah, he did an outstanding job.
Extraordinary.
I like it when Al Pacino was struck by the lightning bolt when he went to Sicily.
Oh, yeah.
It was an
Sudden-
electrifying experience.
No, sudden and
Yes.
and helpless falling
Falling
in
in
love.
love with that beautiful, doomed, young Italian woman.
Okay.
Because remember, well, I mean.
No, it's like love. It's like love at first sight.
And
Right.
he was
In Sicily, they say that you've been struck by the
by the
lightning
lightning
bolt.
bolt. And remember, he was still in love with Diane Keaton back in the States. However, he had to escape. He disappeared, if you remember, at the end of Godfather 1, because he was the one who shot the corrupt police captain, played by Sterling Hayden, in the restaurant. Yes. Oh my gosh.
I remember that.
Yes.
I
yeah.
remember Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
It's about as far back as it
But
goes.
remember, he had the gun in the toilet. It
Right.
was secreted in the toilet by one of his father's henchmen.
Secreted?
And, yes, and underneath,
Ooh.
She's an English teacher.
Well, it means,
don't make
it means
faces.
secret, not
Oh.
the other.
Oh, secreted. Not secreted.
Yeah, true, yes,
Okay.
yes.
And you're an English teacher, come on.
Different syllables, right?
Her,
But
her
remember-
emphasis is on the wrong syllable. For
Yeah,
sure.
remember one of his, his brother, Sonny, who was played by the wonderful James Caan. Shut up. James Caan says, I don't want my brother coming out of the bathroom with just his in his hand
Right.
instead of the gun, right? Because it was a big operation that had many moving parts, so that Michael could assassinate this corrupt police captain, and then immediately leave the country, go off to Sicily.
And Gazillionaires was kind of an interesting movie too.
Gazillionaires?
What?
Gazillionaires.
Oh, that was what, last week?
Oy,
No, it's
Now
still
showing at
playing.
Sawmill theaters.
oy vey.
And
1:15, 4:15, and 7:15.
how's that going so far? Yeah. Wasn't that, that's a comedy though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Still a little lighthearted thing for maybe a
Yes.
Friday night date night or something?
Perhaps, sure.
Or take them in to see one of the spookier movies so you get that free hug.
Yeah, Ghostbusters.
There you go.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, go see
Yay.
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, go, instead of perhaps that one, go see Ghostbusters.
There you go. Now, what about more importantly? First of all,
Snack bar is open.
you are completely staffed at the snack bar,
Mostly, yeah.
mostly, but people can still get all the goodies that they're looking for.
Oh, yeah, sure, yes.
Now, what about Saturdays? Now,
Patton tomorrow.
Oh.
Patton tomorrow, 10 a.m.
Dang.
for free.
And this is as a result of the Rim Country Republican Club.
Republicans,
Yeah.
yeah, sponsoring these things.
Wow, very cool.
George
Come see
C.
it.
Scott, you know, it's an award-winning movie. What a wonderful movie.
Right?
Yeah, that is.
Free.
I don't know. I need more cowbell.
Free.
Free.
Yeah.
So, what prompted you all to decide on Patton? I know you've been going with the,
Yeah, patriotic theme.
films,
right,
And, to tell you the truth, I think it is really simple. There's a scene in there where General Patton is giving a talk, and he's standing in front of an American flag
Right.
that is big, about the size of an aircraft carrier.
Yes.
So we decided that, well, you're never going to get an American flag any bigger than that. I guess that's patriotic.
I like it.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Well, plus it's such a performance. I mean, that is just an amazing movie.
And as Greg pointed out, it's free. So, why not come down and to be able to see a classic like that on the big screen.
Oh,
I mean, you just don't get anything close to that effect watching on, no matter how big your TV is at home.
Yeah, and this will be the fourth one we've done, and in case anyone is worried about that, we really haven't had a seating issue,
Right?
so it's not like you're going to be packed in there either. But yeah, come see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of the kind of remedial things that you would expect at the theater are in effect.
Social distancing.
Even with the free movie, yeah, they rope off every other row, so you don't even have people sitting directly behind you. It's a pretty pleasant experience, and the price is right. And thank you to the Rim Country Republican Club for sponsoring this series of patriotic movies.
How long is this going on?
We've contracted for 6, and then we'll see how it goes after that.
Very cool. I'm
Yay.
impressed. I think that's and it's so cool to be able to go out and see these things for free. And I know you've been doing your Faith Film Festival. Once a month you're doing a different.
Yeah, it's the third Saturday of each month.
Third Saturday of each month. Okay, so that's coming up.
We just did it last Saturday.
Last Saturday was
yeah,
the third
we've
Saturday. Okay.
got a few months or a few weeks here.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't get to see Faith Like Potatoes. How was the response? Did people seem to like it?
They did, yeah, they did. We had about, I think 12 people show up for it.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah, again, these were, we were doing these before the COVIDs,
Right.
and there were 50, 60 people showing up for them. So
Yeah.
So there's just some hesitancy to get back out there.
we're still, not just here, but theaters are still off.
So it makes sense to reiterate even yet again, just a minute later, that, I mean, you do have all the social distancing,
We do, yes.
aspects taken care of, and so people can come in and feel safe and,
Yeah, well, and we're technically capped at 50%, but I think there's only been a couple of times we've had more than 25% capacity in there. So you're not going to be, you're going to have plenty of space.
Right.
You're not going to have to be worried about being packed into a theater at all. So that's all good.
sounds like fun.
And I'd just like to congratulate Craig and
Yes.
the way he runs the theater down there. And he is such an integral and important part of the community.
Yes.
He has the faith-based movies. He's been very cooperative with the Rim Country Republican Club to do these patriotic movies. But he's been doing years now. He's been doing the classic movies for the same 50 people that come in every month to see the classic movies, to see Citizen Kane or something like that.
And it's
So
amazing.
Yankee Doodle Dandy was the Patriot film, which is also a classic film.
Well, it's a double duty.
It is,
Yeah.
and I was not able to see the first part because I was teaching, but I hopped over from the gym to the second part. It was so magnificent. James Cagney dancing, he was an amazing dancer, and the patriotism in that, I mean, I really teared up. It was super, super good,
Very cool.
yeah.
Yep. And we did Mr. Smith Goes to Washington,
Yes.
which was, I think, 39.
Yep, 1939, Jimmy Stewart.
And of course, none of us, unless we go to some special thing, that's not me.
That's not me either.
Unless we go to some special thing, have ever seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington on the big screen.
Right.
Because
Last time it
We
was on the
weren't
big
born.
screen, none of us were born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, it's a
Pretty
wonderful
cool.
movie.
and Craig he goes out of his way to make special things, fun things available to us.
You're special.
And I don't mean like the short school bus. It means special in a good way.
Well, thanks for the clarification.
Or is it like Saturday Night Live, remember, isn't that
It's
special?
special.
Hmm.
Well, hey, speaking of
No, that's
special, we're
not
going to take
you.
a very
You're
special
special.
break here. And
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, if you want to continue on with us, we're going to continue on Facebook Live. And so just look for KRIM FM on Facebook and continue on with us. We're going to get you back to more of your favorite music here on KRIM. I want to remind you, though, that if
Read my review in the paper today,
in the Payson Roundup.
Payson Roundup, the movie review.
And
That's
you're-
me.
And what are you reviewing today?
A Cajillionaire,
Cajillionaire.
yeah.
So remember, you heard it first here on Roller Derby. And if you ever, whenever you want to find out more about what's going on down at the Sawmill Theaters, just go online to sawmilltheaters.com and they'll get you taken care of. Meanwhile, we'll get you back to more of your favorite music. Got some tunes for you coming up from the Grateful Dead, James Taylor, Steely Dan,
I like the
and,
Grateful
and a whole
Dead.
I
bunch
like
more. But
Steely
first,
Dan.
a quick look at Rim Country. All
We're
right.
like the obstreperous children in the classroom.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, all right.
All right. Well, thanks for sticking along with us here.
Oh,
Craig
thank you.
can't, but
Yeah.
we're glad that you will.
Yeah.
Craig has to go to
Take,
work.
take care of business. Yeah, we'll see you guys.
Okay,
All right, have a
party
good one.
on,
We'll take care of
Wayne.
monkey business here.
Yeah, party on.
Okay, so
Scooch over.
as far as political movies, I mean, it sounded like you've already talked about what your favorite was of all time, if I remember right.
Me?
Yes. Favorite political movie or
Oh.
patriotic movie?
Well, The Patriot
Patriot.
is one of them. Braveheart, you know. I mean, I'm a waffle. I will waffle. I use the verb waffle.
Okay.
I love so many movies. I was really thinking about that last night. I was on Netflix has an interesting series called The Hollywood Masters,
Right?
in which a gentleman interviews, and he's very knowledgeable about movies, and he interviews many different people. And two of the interviews that I've watched so far that I love, Hans Zimmer, the composer. I never knew what he looked like. I never knew what he, you know, what his,
Hum a few tunes.
huh?
Hum a few tunes.
Well, Gladiator. You know, I mean, Gladiator is my favorite score. of
Hans
his.
Zimmer did the music score for that?
Yes, he did. And,
Plus almost everything else you've ever heard.
oh, I mean, he's just monstrously talented. And when he was talking about working with Christopher Nolan, because that's his favorite and repeated joining up with a filmmaker, it's just so interesting, the process, the musical process, the creative process, how he works with a filmmaker to, you know, be a film score writer. And then the other one was Kenneth Branagh.
I like him too.
Yes, oh my gosh, what a talented guy. And hearing him talk about his growing up process and how he started in theater, you know, the theater, and then segued into movies. And Henry V, what, I think the fifth or fourth, whatever it was, he's such a Shakespearean guy. And of course, you know, he brings it to life. And he did it on the stage, and then he said the whole cast, including this unknown person, Dame Judi Dench, was with him in, you know, in the movie version. Well, in the theater version, they took the whole cast. I mean, he said the set people, everybody who worked on the theater version just moved right over to the studio.
Huh.
And he said they did their last performance on a Saturday night. Monday morning they started shooting. That he won an Oscar for that. And he is just monstrously talented. I always like to see.
Is that the one where he goes, "What's more into the breach, dear friends"?
I believe so, and he's on the battle scene in that one is, yeah. I mean, he brings Shakespeare to life, which I always believe because Shakespeare was a playwright and has
Be
his.
every man so
Yeah.
mean he would be on this day, my brother.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's done a lot of
I can
Shakespeare
quote
stuff.
Shakespeare. Did you see
Nice,
that?
nice. Huh?
My favorite quote is, "We are such stuff as dreams are made of."
Mine is to be or something. At any rate, so when it comes to patriotic movies, the top of your list?
North by Northwest.
What?
Okay, that hit me out of the left
Gee,
field.
he's a real-
Why? What?
Unless I've got the title wrong.
Well, I mean,
That's Cary Grant and Eva
No,
Marie
that's not the
Saint.
one then.
That's a Hitchcock. I mean, yeah, they do go up to Mount Rushmore,
No,
but.
no.
yeah.
There's a movie set in the what we refer to in the United States as the French and Indian Wars, where
Oh.
Rogers Rangers go on a raid into Quebec
Mhm.
to smite the English. And-
I smite thee.
And that's from
Smite.
like 1935, something
Oh,
like
really?
that era.
I don't
Yeah.
know if I've seen that.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, anyway, I got that, but anyway, it's really grim. They end up eating the face off an Indian skull because they're starving. So it was not a successful mission. It shows
I prefer bacon.
it shows how difficult it is to be free, and how it's not freedom is expensive, I guess.
Oh yeah, all too true. By the way, Edna is following along with us on Facebook Live, and she said, "Great movies."
Thank you,
I agree.
thank you, we agree.
It's Northwest Passage.
Oh, I think that's it. And I think I have seen it. Yeah, yeah.
Northwest Passage.
Yeah.
It's a patriotic movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Fort Ty, another good one. Fort Ty.
I can't keep up with you. You guys have, those sound very obscure to me.
They were
That's
they
because
were
they-
big deal in 1934. I'll tell you that.
Well, some of us weren't alive.
Well, then
But
during, some of the war films, like particularly with John Wayne, what was the one that where he dies, he's the
Yeah,
sergeant?
Sands of Iwo Jima.
Oh, Sands of Iwo Jima, that's a wonderful movie.
Yep, coming up as a patriotic
Bam,
movie.
you gotta see
someday
that.
soon.
On the screen.
Maybe a week from tomorrow. We'll see.
All right.
Years ago at another radio station, I asked the question one day, favorite movie of all time.
When's my raise?
And that's also one of the things that I said, but and that's why I'm not that. But I was really intrigued because, Payson has a little bit older demographic, and so a lot of the movies.
We resemble that remark.
We are that remark.
Notice how I didn't say that. So all of the input
But you're
people's
holding up
favorite
rather
movie
well.
of all time, and some of the things that came in were that people called in were pretty noticeably, I guess, normal or didn't really shock you. But by far, the movie that got the most votes was one that, this is going to shock you, I had never seen.
The Flying Aces.
No, it was a John Wayne
The
movie.
Flying Deuces.
No. John Wayne movie where he's not playing the cowboy in the usual John Wayne thing.
Mm.
It was The Quiet Man.
Oh, excellent.
And so afterwards I said, okay, well I gotta go see this movie, and I did.
Yeah.
And that was really a good movie. But
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it before. But
Well, it's a John Ford
right.
and Maureen O'Hara, the luminous, transcendently wonderful Maureen O'Hara. Yes.
Transcendently wonderful.
Yes, who is the mother of,
Scarlett O'Hara.
no.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Yeah, no, that is a wonderful movie. John Ford was very good friends with John Wayne, and they, directed him in several things. Stagecoach being one of the famous ones. But yeah, that's a beautiful movie. It's an Irish, about being in Ireland.
Uh-huh.
And Irish culture.
Yes.
And just Maureen O'Hara is so great.
Oh, she
there's
is.
this one scene where John Wayne is just in a towering rage and drags her back to her family and just throws them. Says, "Don't want nothing to do with this woman." And you should have seen the tiny smirk on her face.
Really.
Oh God, it was, just absolutely brilliant
Yeah.
perfection in an acting role. That was just that.
Yeah.
If the whole movie was that 4 seconds,
Yeah.
it would have been worth seeing it. Huh?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it explained everything about Irish families, about the culture of the time,
Mhm.
about the inner dynamic between her and her. I guess they were engaged at that time, or
Yes.
or it was kind of a setup wedding,
Yeah.
a setup marriage sort
Right.
of thing. But the relationship between the two prospective spouses and their families and Irish, the larger Irish culture in a little 4-second smirk. It's just great.
Wow, I have to go back and look at that again.
Well, movies are visual, and in a good movie. I mean, like The Quiet Man.
Which
you know,
is black and white, but remember how beautifully visual much black and white was.
Yep.
Yeah.
But in a brilliantly performed and brilliantly written and brilliantly directed movie,
Yeah.
which this was in all respects.
I agree.
Every frame in the movie
Mhm.
is important and relevant,
Mhm.
and I guess nothing really points that out more than Maureen O'Hara's smirk.
Gotta love it, gotta love it. Well, and Tina, you had mentioned
I'm
that
glad you
as far
enjoyed
as
that smirk as
I
well.
love this mark.
as far as political or patriotic movies, I found it refreshing that you mentioned the Mel Gibson Braveheart, and that again, and we've talked about it a few times. It's been a favorite of mine, but I thought everything about that movie was great. I understand there's a few departures from historical fact, at least in some people's minds, but I thought they did an amazing job on that movie.
It doesn't have to be particularly American patriot to have the universal theme of fighting for freedom, fighting for individual rights, which was what the story of William Wallace was about, and the poignant, tragic betrayal that he experienced at the hands of Robert the Bruce. But that last scene where he is being unfortunately
Disemboweled.
drawn and quartered,
Right.
where he yells freedom. They're telling him, just say you'll submit,
Right.
and he just yells freedom. Oh, I'm gonna cry right now. I mean, it's just an exquisite scene.
An amazing movie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other patriotic movies that.
Well, Casablanca was a very patriotic
Well, there's an
movie,
interesting choice.
if you think about it.
Mhm.
It was, they were giving up their extramarital relationship, which really the understanding was that since she had been married to Victor, who was the freedom fighter, that she and Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman and Humphrey Bogart had not had a physical relationship. That it was the 30s. It was or the 40s. I can't remember.
40s.
The 40s. But that they. It was something.
That was a lot more socially unacceptable. I think.
Well, and it also was bigger than they were for them to do the right thing. And one of my favorite author, he is my favorite author, John D. MacDonald, is a line in one of his books. He says, one character says, "How do you know what the right thing to do is in a moral situation?" And the other character says, "That's easy. It's always the hardest."
Ooh, excellent.
It's like, yeah, and that was the kind of what happened in that movie, that they chose to have her go back to her husband, away from Humphrey Bogart, because he needed her to fight,
To support the war
to
effort.
support the war effort. I mean, people today might, dismiss that as hokey. I say they are deluded and distracted from a higher awareness.
Well, there's definitely a reason why that generation from back then was called the greatest generation.
Yeah.
They didn't take nearly for granted the things that we do, and I think we need to be reminded of that on a regular basis.
There's another movie, and it's not available in the theater, never has been in the theater that I know of, but it was made by Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, and it's called Innocence Betrayed. And if you go on JPFO's website, jpfo.org, you can not only read my story about being disarmed in Jamaica, but you can find Innocence Betrayed, which was a documentary made by Aaron Zillman, sadly deceased now, and my dear friend Richard Stevens, who I'm still very close friends with. He's an attorney that worked with JPFO, about the history of disarmament of populations and then subsequent genocide. And it's very, very good. And I mean,
And topical.
yeah, I mean, it's really, really something to see. Innocence Betrayed on, you can find it online.
It sounds like some great perspective that
Yeah.
more people need to take
Yeah,
a look
it's a
at.
great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, if you're thinking about great American patriotic movies, let's not forget Sergeant York.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, that,
yeah.
there's been so many different war films that, gosh, there's, I mean, even some going to a slightly different end of the spectrum here. Hamburger Hill, not an easy movie to watch, but I think a pretty accurate representation of just how ugly war is. And I don't know, sometimes I think there's so much stuff that seems to be so sanitized that we often, perhaps lose sight of just how horrific things can be in war. And it's a great little thing I posted up on social media the other day that talked about, and I don't have the numbers at my fingertips, but I can get them quickly.
And you have to turn your phone back on, maybe somebody will call you.
Yeah, you never know. But the point was that there's a horrible loss of life in war, and I think we all understand that pretty easily. But this one particular post I thought really brought some interesting perspective. And gosh, knowing Facebook, they probably eliminated it now because it, for some reason, didn't correspond with something they thought was more important.
Yeah, well, I'm in jail again. So
Oh, you're in Facebook jail?
After 4 days of being let out early, then.
So you had 4 days of
I
freedom?
violated my probation. Yeah.
Well, I can no longer find it, but it talked about the number of people that have died in the last, I think it was like maybe the last 10 years in wars, a number of U.S. Servicemen and women that have died in wars. And then underneath that, and it was it's a tragic number, and I'm not going to even try to recite it, but down below it, it had the number of U.S. servicemen and women that have committed suicide in the last 10 years. And it was much more, I think it was like 20 times as high a number. And there's a lot of that stuff that we need to keep, I think need to keep that perspective, at least in the back of our head. Not that I'm completely anti-war, sometimes you got to go kick some butt. But man, it's definitely not a fun place to be.
Well, in an unsanitized version of conflict, I think we have to include Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah,
That
I
was
was
a
just
great one.
gonna say that.
That's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it's just as realistic and as awful as you can be.
And the whole mission of having to go in and find this guy to tell him, or to pull him out of there because a bunch of his siblings were dead, and the inner turmoil that those that were assigned to go after him had about, we're doing all of this, risking our lives so that we can go pull him out. I mean, that had to be tough duty.
Yeah, Tom Hanks had a great line in there.
There's no crying in baseball. Oh, no, it's a different movie.
Different movie, but you're right to point that out.
That's true.
Tom Hanks is he's just absolutely tremendous. I love him to pieces. I really do. And but Tom Hanks is a company commander landing on Omaha Beach, bloody Omaha, and after they get somewhat established, what's left of them on the coast there, he makes a comment. He says, they tell me that the higher officers that every man that dies now is saving 10 lives going forward. And he says, I must have saved thousands of lives. Just,
And you start rippling through your mind about what he's thinking and saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the end line, and I may have to paraphrase it, but where he's in the cemetery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chicken skin. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for those of you in
Who don't.
yeah.
Or have
Sorry.
forgotten and are expecting us to remember.
Go see the
maybe
movie.
maybe an over expectation.
Yeah. No, Private Ryan at the end of the movie is revisiting the graveyard at Normandy Beach with his wife, like 50 years later.
Right.
And he looks at all of these grave markers, and he looks at his wife, and he's wondering, and he says, was it worth it? Am I a good man? And that, I mean, I completely came unhooked when,
Me too.
when that happened in the movie.
As they say in My Fair Lady, I was weeping like a bathtub overflowing.
Oh, my.
Well, on a strange side note that I just feel compelled to share, as it pertains to war situations,
How about movies?
I had there should have been a movie made about this, but I had the unusual opportunity to be working in a relief camp during the Kosovo War outside of Triphan, Albania. As a matter of fact, I talked a little bit about it yesterday on the show, but one of the things that really has left, has itself deeply ingrained in my memory was the last night that I was at this camp. I was in my tent, and all of a sudden someone came bursting through the door of my tent saying, "Hey, we've got some trucks coming in with some more refugees from that they were bringing in from Pristina in Kosovo, and can you help us get these people bedded down and stuff?" And they had tents set up, but we needed to give them bedding and stuff so that they could just get some rest. They'd been on a long road trip, and in doing that, the last two people off of this, it was a typical military truck with the canvas cover in the back and everything, and the last two people off the truck was this very elderly couple that looked like they were probably in their 80s and kind of frail, and I helped them down off the truck, and they had the just look of somewhere between sheer terror and complete depression. I mean, they seemed totally lost, and I was heading back to the States the next morning, so I as was often the case in these things, I end up going into my own pack and giving them this and giving them food and I just basically gave a bunch of my self-inflating air mattresses and things like that so that they could get comfortable, and gave them, because they had nothing with them except for the clothes on their back, gave them some flashlights and a little battery-powered lantern and some things, and as I said goodbye to them, even though they didn't speak English and I didn't speak their language, we had effective communication going on, but as I left their tent and started to walk back to mine through the darkness of Albania, I could see them silhouetted in their tent by the light that I left them, and never knew what happened to them after that or where they ended up. But it was really it just brought home the reality of how terrible war can be, and there was also a strange little twist to the whole thing in that it was alleged Christians that were going in and invading Kosovo, and it was Muslims there who were being invaded and who we were caring for in this camp. And there's some amazing times where they were asking, well, why would you care for us, and it gave you a chance to talk about the love of Christ, and etc. But I don't think I'll ever forget just that silhouetted image of those two old folks in that tent in the middle of the night in Albania, and I have no idea whatever happened to them, but it was just a little bitty piece of just the ugliness of what happens in war to very frail, fragile beings that just have to kind of roll with the punches. And we here in the States, we just I don't think we have a lot of perspective when it comes to that.
That's why we have to see the movies.
That's right.
And on that particular conflict, there's a not award-winning movie called Behind Enemy Lines.
Yes.
And there's a scene, and it involves an American Air Force pilot, or Navy pilot, I guess, who's shot down, parachutes down behind enemy lines in that conflict, and he's running around trying to not be killed. And in one scene, he comes across a gully, and the gully, he descends into the gully, and he sees like newly planted trees, hundreds of newly planted trees. And what somebody had done is filled the gully up with dead bodies, and then thrown a little dirt over the top, and then planted trees on there so that it wouldn't look like a grave site,
A massacre.
Massacre site from satellite or airplane photography to disguise the fact of a massacre.
Yeah.
And he doesn't realize that until he descends in there, and then he finds out that there are things that are worse than war.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We found that out in
In-laws, for instance. No, I'm sorry.
No, I put in a good word for my in-laws. My in-laws are angels. I love
And
them.
I can't
Yeah.
complain.
Yeah, but you know, there's a Russian patriotic movie. I mean, it's an English language, but made about a patriot in Russia. Enemy at the Gates
Oh, yeah.
with Judd. What's
Judd
his-
Law.
Judd Law, about a sniper during World War II who
Somewhat true story.
It is a true story, yeah. Who absolutely, fought back against the Germans, and he was an amazing sniper. It's Judd Law and Rachel Weisz, and the guy who plays the evil German. I forget who he is, but he was very, very compelling. That I've seen that.
That'll come to me, but it'll be like
Yeah.
Tuesday, and I'll give you a call.
There you go. But I've seen that movie about 15 times. I love that movie.
Still can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah, I know. So, on a lighter note, I wanted to
We
mention
could use a
something.
lighter note.
Well, because Andy loves zombies. I think we
Really?
all know. I think we all know that. Yes.
I don't know if that's a fair characterization.
You
I
love
just,
them?
I think that some zombie movies are a lot of fun. That's all.
Okay. Well,
Some are not.
Now, here's the thing, Andy. I know you gave up Netflix,
Yes.
and I did not because I don't have as much of a backbone as you do, apparently. Right. But there is a series on Netflix right now. It is a French series with subtitles. It's called La Révolution. And it's basically about sort of vampire zombies. And takes place during the 1700s, around the French Revolution. Holy smokes, it is just amazing.
Huh.
We are watching it, we're trying to sort of eke it out, not do too many episodes. I think it's 10 episodes. It's amazing. The settings, the costumes, the acting, the characterizations, the casting. But one of the things my husband said, and I agree with him, is he said, I'm kind of sick of all the American PC stuff that you find, with a message about, diversity, and we gotta, have different kinds of people in the movie, even if it doesn't fit the story. He said, I like these foreign movies where there's no PC and it's just great entertainment. And it is good. It is seriously good, so.
I mean, what an
That's
oxy.
why I like to watch Korean movies.
Yeah, well, no, I agree, or I love
It's
French.
not just the kimchi anymore.
I love French movies because I used to speak French. I still try to block out the subtitles so that I can maybe understand what they're saying. And then I see the subtitle and it's like, that's not the translation of what they said, right? But yeah, it's a really, really good series. Netflix, they did indict the people who made Cuties, which was the offensive
It's a movie that's all up
pedophile, totally openly pedophile movie. Court in Texas has indicted the filmmakers and Netflix. So, okay,
We'll see what
Undoubtedly, they will flee to France.
right, yeah. Well, there you are. The frogs will take them in, right?
Yeah.
So,
And
It's for culture.
is there really any oxymoron greater than political correctness?
no.
Jumbo shrimp.
Jumbo shrimp, there you go.
Right. Military intelligence.
The top three right there. Hey, that's all the time we have. Thanks.
What?
Believe it or not, we've
What?
blown a whole hour.
No!
Yeah, it's that
We
time.
refuse to leave.
Well, y'all have a great time. I'm taking my coffee and my phone and I'm out of here.
And my rum.
Yeah. Well, if you have room, I'll stick around. Anyway, thanks for joining us,
Thank
and tune in again next Friday morning for your hometown movie guys. Thanks
We're
again.
long.